Hi, Charlie. Hi, everybody. So welcome. I think I know most of you. I think most of you have been involved in WeDoWind to some extent. So yeah, if you don't know who I am, my name's Sarah Barber. I'm from the Eastern Switzerland University of Applied Sciences. And this webinar today is a launch webinar of the new look WeDoWind. Most of you have been involved to some extent in the old WeDoWind. So hopefully you'll know what I'm talking about. And to those of you who are not, let's see. So I want to quickly tell you a little bit about the history of WeDoWind, then introducing the new look WeDoWind, and then I want to explain the platform to you, which is kind of an important part of the new WeDoWind. I'm going to give a demonstration about how it works so you can actually see. You can also test it while I'm talking. And then there'll be a Q&A. I have a little Mentimeter activity, and you can also ask questions. If any of you haven't created an account yet and want to sort of create an account and follow what I'm talking about themselves, and I've put the link to the new platform in the chat. If you want to ask anything, please feel free to just speak, or I can see the chat, so just write in the chat. And the more friendly faces I can see, the better, just to know that I'm not talking into a black screen. So yeah, any questions, or shall I continue? Anyone need anything clarified?
No, go for it.
Go on.
Go. Okay, so just a very brief history. We've divided the phases of WeDoWind into phase 1 and phase 2. And some of you might recognize this diagram as a design thinking process. So the first phase was 2022 to 2024, where we sort of established this need for improving data sharing in wind energy by talking to lots of people. We then had this idea of having a challenge-based platform where asset owners who have got data can get their problem solved by scientists and data analysts who are desperate for data, but they have solutions. So we kind of defined this idea for a win-win situation. We then looked at some different possibilities for platforms. We came up with the idea of using this Relight platform, which is run by someone we know in the US. I'll tell you about in a second. And then we ran like 6 different challenges. And after that, we started thinking about phase 2, where we took the inputs from this phase 1, but also from IEA Wind Task 43, which quite a lot of you know about and are involved in as well. It's an international collaboration trying to improve the usage of data in wind energy. We then defined what we call a WeDoWind blueprint, which I'll tell you about in a minute. We then looked at some different possibilities for new platforms. We then came up with this suggestion to use the platform called Mighty Networks. We created a prototype of the whole thing, and now this week we launched this new platform, and we're testing it. We're expecting this to last until next year. So the phase 1, people who have been involved in previous challenges will recognize this Relight platform. So this is run by Charlie Henderson from Stacker Group in the US, who contributed a lot to founding WeDoWind. The platform had some disadvantages. It was fairly difficult to use. But we managed to publish quite a few results of different challenges. So there's 4 papers that we wrote. We had a fault detection challenge, 2 fault detection challenges. We also had a power curve benchmarking case study, and a couple of other challenges which we published. You can get the links to this on the website, wedowind.ch. And so now we're moving into this phase 2, which we're all very excited about. So phase 2 is about exploiting the full value of your data. Probably you know that data preparation is said to account for about 80% of the work of data scientists. And so the idea is that we help you stop wasting 80% of your time on data wrangling and start using 80% of your time for creating value and insights. So the idea of WeDoWind is to connect people with open data, code, lecture material, information models to describe the data, best practices and guidelines for using and publishing code and data, but to also provide you with opportunities to develop code and reference methods together, or even in competition, to co-create information models and to work on various different best practices. And then also people. So the idea is to connect you with like-minded people. And it's based on this thing we call the WeDo Data Blueprint, which might seem a bit complicated at first, but it's just this idea of if you want to bring together a community of people to improve data sharing, it doesn't matter who the people are, what the sector is, how big the community is. We made this blueprint as a way of building up this community or this ecosystem around these 4 different green sub-communities. So we have information modeling community who developed semantic artifacts, and they publish these. These are ways to describe data, publish these on some sort of schema or ontology publishing portal. We have the open source code data and code community who are developing guidelines for actually publishing data. And these guidelines go into then a data and code portal. We have a knowledge and data sharing community where the traditional WeDoWind challenges belong, where the idea is that people share published data, and then based on the data, they improve or develop new solutions, which they then publish on the code portal. The ultimate idea of that would be to have this on some sort of data science platform, like something like Kaggle or Renku, or there's different platforms available. We don't have that yet. And then the 4th community are other people who are using the data, who are not solving challenges, but they're doing their own things with the data. And the idea is that there's a community of people learning from each other about using the data. And finally, we had this idea for a jobs portal, because at the end of the day, most people are looking for jobs at some point. And the data science platform Kaggle, if you know it, its entire business model is based around people searching, recruiting people. So that's the idea of the blueprint, but this is a bit abstract, right? What does this look like really? That's what we're going to come to. So just as a summary, the information modeling community allows you to develop semantic artifacts to describe data. The open source data and code community allows you to develop guidelines and open source data and code. The knowledge and data sharing community allows you to develop solutions and reference methods. And the data and code users community is developing also guidelines for open source data and code. So we kind of made some pain points. So maybe some of you who use data, I'm not going to go through all of them, but maybe some of you who use data recognize some of these difficulties. We certainly know in wind energy that lots of people are complaining about the data not being well described. And so the idea to solve these problems, the idea is that you can go to the information modeling community to co-create, publish, but also learn about and use control vocabularies or semantic artifacts. And then we have looked a little bit at the pain of the data analysts. So these are some of the pain points that we know about rewriting code every time you go to a different organization or team, working out what the best methods are for cleaning data, even selling your methods to your potential customers, finding data to train your models, finding out what the best or state-of-the-art methods are, or even just finding easy-to-use code that you can actually sort of use without much effort. And so our WeDoWind is trying to help those pain points by co-creating code in this data and code users community, by actually making data available in an open data portal. We don't actually have a separate data portal at the moment. We just have links to existing ones, because developing your own open data portal is a very difficult, big job. So we're not actually doing that yet. We're just linking to external portals. But then for the methods, the idea is to create, share, and compare methods in the knowledge and data sharing community, or to define and access industry development reference methods. and then also have code available that you can use in the open code portal. And then for data owners, maybe if you own a load of data, maybe you want to be able to access the best methods for using your data to solve whatever problem you have, fault detection or whatever. Maybe you actually want to publish some code or data, but you don't really know how to do it, and you can't persuade your legal department to do so. Or maybe you struggle to assess the quality of the methods that external analysts provide you with. In which case, again, you can publish data sets in return for a WeDoWind challenge. You can access guidelines for publishing and sharing code or data. And hopefully, eventually, in the knowledge and data sharing community with these challenges, we want to then develop these industry-developed reference methods. And then there's some other things that we try to address, like struggling to get yourself noticed in the job market, or finding staff for open positions, consuming or providing teaching resources, finding use cases for your data sharing tools, maybe even generating traffic for your own community if you run a different working group and you want to get more people to know about you, or even maybe you've got your own large community organization who you want to exploit the full value of data yourselves. So you can, for example, create a profile, and you can take part in challenges, you can get yourself noticed. If you want to find people to work in your team, you can look at what they're doing and you can contact them, or you can post openings in the job portal. For the teaching, we've got a space in the knowledge and data sharing community to add material or to attend courses. The idea is also that you can interact with domain experts by asking questions. You can create your own space for a working group. We've made a template so that you can make so an example would be Ron, who's here, is involved in this WeDoWind organization. We're hoping to create a WeDoWind space so that everybody in the community knows WeDoWind is and what are they doing, and knows how to contact Ron to take part. And then the final thing, empowering your own community. Yeah, the idea is that we help you with a template, actually building your own community based on the blueprint. So that's an introduction to what WeDoWind is supposed to be offering you. If I don't hear any questions, I'm just going to continue. Maybe somebody wants to take the opportunity to say something or ask something. I'm aware of the fact that I'm talking a lot. Anyone want to say or ask something about the general principle? Right, so I'll just continue. So the platform itself, the new platform, it's based on this platform called Mighty Networks, which is a generic commercial platform for people to build their own communities. So we pay like $1,000 at the moment, $1,000 a year for unlimited members. And the idea of the WeDoWind version, so we've created our version with our logo structure. And the idea is that the main point of this is the communication part. So the main point is that people come into these communities, they look what's going on in wind energy in these 4 different areas. They look to see what working groups there are. They maybe join the working groups, you maybe publish stuff, or you look to see what people have published. You interact with people. It connects you with resources, tools, events, and people within different working groups. Some of the working groups are public, so you can just join and take part. Some are private. So, for example, IEA Wind Task 43, you actually have to be a member of, which means your country's got to pay for it in order to join, and then you have to request access. Some of them are just linked. So if it's an external group, like a Wind Europe working group, it's just going to be described, and then there'll be an external link saying, come and join us here. And then it connects you with the portals. So the Open Data Portal, the Open Code Portal, the ontology and schema publishing portals. There's no data platform or data science platform within this Mighty Networks platform at all. It's just linked. In the future, we want to integrate things, and we're actually working on that. But at the moment, it's just a place where people come and link to other information. So just to show this blueprint again. So the platform itself is this bit here. It's kind of the, let's say, the glue between the whole thing, and it's actually trying to get people engaged. So you can go to the platform link, which I already sent you, and if you do that the first time, you'll see this page. If you explore, you can see the public information. You can see most of the things without logging in, but you can't really interact until you join. Joining is free anyway.
Sarah, it's Ron here. I've got a question. So would WeDoWind become a kind of front end for the work at Task 43? So if I say to people, Task 43 has got this work stream for ontologies, instead of pointing people to that, I would point them to WeDoWind. Is that how it would work?
Yes, but not just Task 43. So I'll show you in a minute in the communities. Like WeDoWind is supposed to be a central place for these 4 communities in wind energy. So let's take information modeling as one of the communities. There's a load of people doing stuff in information modeling in wind energy. IEA Task 43 is one of those groups. TimWind is another group. Wind Europe is another group. The idea is that each of these groups is accessible here. And then you can see if TimWind publishes something, if Wind Europe publishes something, they put it on the platform. If IEA Task 43 publishes something, and then people between these groups can discuss stuff or make comments and stuff, or maybe Task 43 has got a question to the general community, like for example, we want to develop a wind energy domain ontology. We can't do that just with the members of the Task 43 T1.2 working group, because there's like 5 people in it. So we would develop some suggestion for an ontology, and then we would post this on the general, the public part, and then we would hope that other people who may be in TimWind, maybe in Wind Europe, who are interested in information modeling would then reply and get involved. So it's kind of to bring together all these different people and everyone who's interested in, for example, information modeling and wind energy. Does that make sense? I think when I do the demonstration, it might become more obvious as well. So if you go to the page that I showed you and make an account, you end up at this welcome page, which is quite long and tries to explain everything clearly. I'd recommend reading that. Again, I'll go into the platform in a minute. I'm just giving an overview. And then there's the general community, which is kind of just giving an overview, where you have these different spaces. So you have the welcome page. You then have a link to all the different portals. You have quite a lot of information about WeDoWind, like the mission or how we finance it, or some guidelines for people transitioning from Relight. Then there's a space for general discussion. So if you're not discussing anything that's related to a different space, you can discuss stuff in here. I've put some questions and surveys already in there. And then there's a template if you want to create your own working group, which has also got instructions in it. And then under the portals, you can see there's these 5 different portals. If you click here, you can then get the links or the information to the different portals. And then in the knowledge and data sharing community, you'll see quite a lot of stuff, because these are where the challenges are, which we already have or had before. So in these spaces, you actually have running challenges, which I'll show you in a minute. And there's one lecture course already in there, just as an example. In the information modeling community at the moment, we have the OntoForge group, which is actually a summary of all the different ontologies which are being developed. We have a Task 43 subgroup. And we have the wind energy domain ontology group. Marcus, you wanted to ask something?
So did you take the data from the old platform and feed it into the new platform? So it's all available here?
Yeah, but the old platform just consists of these challenges. It didn't have the rest of the stuff in it. But each of these challenges that you can see here, all the challenges and the data that were described on the previous Relight have all been copied, and all the webinar recordings have all been copied into here. Yeah, it was quite a lot of work. And adjusted so that they work properly, because all the links were wrong. So in the information modeling community at the moment, we have a Task 43 group, we have a domain ontology group, and we have a general group. Actually, in the welcome page, there's a knowledge hub which we're building up as well. We're hoping to add more groups there, like the ones that I already mentioned. In the open source data and code community, so that's about working on guidelines and best practice documents for publishing open source code and data. We actually have the Research Data Alliance Wind Energy Community Standards group in here who works actively since yesterday. In here, that group is analyzing different data sets using FAIR data maturity assessment tools. And then there's the IEA Wind Task 43 open source community, which is developing guidelines for publishing open source code. And then there's a public space where these groups ask questions to everybody. I can show you an example in a second in the platform. And then the data and code users community is about people who want to share experience of actually using data. So we recently formed the Task 43 user group, and we formed a subgroup about SCADA events and alarms. So the idea, we're just building this up, but the idea is that people come together just to talk about how to improve the description of SCADA events and alarms. Probably this group will end up working on a schema or an ontology in the information modeling group. And that's nice, the way that those can connect, and we can have connections between the different communities. And we also created a space called Voices of Data and Code Users, where we have the results of some surveys we've done about using data. So yeah, now I'll quickly show you the platform. I've heard lots of dings on my, as I've been talking, which indicate to me that some people have signed up while I've been talking, I'm guessing. I'm gonna enter with a different user, as a different user at the moment, so I can show you what it looks like for you, because I'm the host, so it looks a bit different for me. So if you go to, the first time you go to this link, you see this, and there is a bit of an explanation here, as well as a donation page. And if you explore without having an account, I guess some of you might have just done that, you'll see quite a lot. You can actually see quite a lot of the platform already. You just can't really interact very much. Actually, I just remembered I wanted to go through this in a structured way, actually. So I wanted to show you on the demonstration different things that you can do. So first of all, you can browse the public platform, you can create an account, you can create a profile, you can contact members directly, you can join any public spaces you're interested in, and you can request to join private spaces. So I'm going to show you all those things in one go. So if you, I guess most of you have just done this, but if you join, you can create an account quite easily. Okay, I'm going to log in now with my test account, where I don't have host access, so it should look more similar to what it looks like with you. So then you get to this overview page. You get some, I think you get some list of like checklists of things to do, which you can follow. If you want to create your profile, you can go up here. I just realized my test profile doesn't exist, actually. But you can put a photo in there and a picture, and you can put a biography and stuff, personal links and stuff. You can chat to people individually in here, so you can just search for Christian, start a new chat, and I can connect to Christian and I can chat with him. What else did I have on there? Oh yeah, so you can join spaces. So if we now go for as an example to the knowledge and data sharing community, you see these different spaces, and you see here, I'm obviously, my test account has obviously joined some of the spaces already, but for example, this one, I can either click on more details to see an overview of, as a brief description of the space, or I can just click on join us. If it's a public space, you become a member immediately. If it's a private space, as the private spaces, in here, you see here request access. I can request access to this group. Then somebody's got to give you access. So that request could take like a day because we have to do it manually. So that's that. What's next on the list? So what you can then do is that you can interact in the spaces. So if we, for example, take one of the challenge spaces, let's take the open data exploration space, just because Charlie's here and leading this space. So then you see, for example, actually, I'm not going to show that one. I want to show one where we've got a, sorry, Charlie, where we've got a challenge which is about to, where there's some submissions on the web on the platform. This is more of a typical space. So at the moment, we're actually running a challenge, this one here. And so you can go here, for example, and you see a description of the challenge. So what do I have to do? There's a data set. How do I submit results? And then under here, there's a load of other information, like you can register for the challenge in like a Google Doc. You can see the data set, you can discuss stuff, you can access the webinar recordings, which have all been, they're all on YouTube. And then there's a solution template, which you can copy, and then you could submit like a solution. So for example, someone's here, we've got a template, and then they submit, these people have already submitted quite a long report, which is going to be evaluated, and that's all in there. Maybe I can also say, okay, what else can I say? There's a feed where you can discuss stuff. There's also the events. So the challenges typically have monthly meetings, which you can download from here. Maybe I should show Charlie's space actually, because Charlie recently ran a Kaggle challenge, which was separate. So some of you took part on this. So this is like the third challenge on here. So if in this case, the challenge isn't described inside this platform, but there's just a link to Kaggle page where which he's been using then to document, like people have submitted their code to the Kaggle page and they've been running the challenge, looking at the leaderboard and actually running it on here. And so what's nice about WeDoWind is that you can do it however you want. So we're kind of experimenting the best ways to do it. So sometimes we just use links to Zenodo data. Sometimes we go to Kaggle pages, and it's kind of open to do anything you want. But the main point is that everything's discussed and documented here. So you can share content, you can take part in discussions, you can sign up for challenges and submit your solutions. Another example in the RDA group, maybe I'll quickly show that. I think I need to go to my other account quickly to show that, because I don't think that account is a member right now. So if I go to the RDA group, for example, we actually have here a list of activities. So for example, yesterday we had a meeting. At least one person in here was at the meeting, where we discussed, okay, there's some tools to assess the data sets, and we looked at these different tools together, and we actually then made a little presentation where we showed some of the results of some of those tools, and then we came to some conclusion about what to do. We're actually documenting that in here. And then, for example, after the meeting, I made a post and said, this is what we said we were going to do before the next meeting, and then people can do that. So we're actually trying to work inside here as well as just document, like just as well as to show people what we're doing. We actually want to work inside there. If you want to create your own working group, we created this template. So the idea is that if you've got a working group, let's say Tim Wind as an example, as I mentioned before, what you should be able to do, you need to request moderator access from me. But when you've done that, you should be able to actually copy and paste this template. It actually explains, hopefully, quite well how to copy it and what to do. And you should be able to create your own space, so like one of these separate groups here. and do whatever you want with it. So you could use it to run activities, but you could just use it as like an information and a link to a different platform, for example. The other thing, if you want to create a new challenge, you should contact me or us, really, because yeah, again, there's different ways of doing it, and I think it's best to discuss how to do that in the best way. And then the next step is, I said before, like creating your own ecosystem. So WeDoWind is based on this WeDoData blueprint, and actually we're even in discussion now with various groups who want to like take this and do it like a copy paste and put their own portals in there and put their own information modeling communities in there, in different areas, not just wind energy, or maybe wind energy, but different community which wants to be separate. So a typical one would be like a hackathon organizer. So we're in touch with a hackathon organizer who wants to use, like, they have challenges in their hackathon and they want to better document and make it more of a long-term project rather than just a 2-day thing. And they actually want to take this whole structure and implement it for the hackathon. But maybe there's even large organizations who want to share information models within the organization. Maybe there's research projects or international collaborations with like multiple stakeholders who want to share, publish data, running benchmarks or comparisons. So for example, we're talking to IEA Wind about doing that for the whole of IEA Wind. But then if organizations such as my organization are talking about wanting to create some sort of living lab or open innovation ecosystem, I think we can apply this template to that quite easily. And then just anybody who is maybe has got a data platform. So we've been in touch with a data platform owner who have just got a load of data published and they don't know who's using it. They don't know if their data is fair, so findable, accessible, interoperable, or reusable. They don't know they don't know who's accessing it. They don't know what people are doing with the data. So someone like that, if they want to maximize the usefulness, the reach, and the fairness of their data, they can kind of surround their data platform with these other components. So we're in discussion with a few people about that as well. And again, you don't have to be in the wind energy sector to benefit from WeDoData. So that's everything. Any questions? And then we have a Mentimeter to go into, but does anyone want to, like, I talk quite a lot and it's probably quite a lot of information. Does anyone want to ask anything?
Sarah, I've probably got a slight, I'm not sure whether this is slightly off topic, but back in the summer when we went through some of the WeDoWind, you and I and a couple of others sat down and went through the sort of, I think, converting WeDoWind into a sort of consultancy type operation. Now, I don't think I've seen much on that since. I'm not sure where that's gone to. Is that still ongoing? Is that a WeDoWind task somewhere, or is it? Have I missed it somewhere?
Yeah. Thanks for that. So just for everybody else to understand, we had the IEA Wind Task 43 annual general meeting in June, where we had a day of WeDoWind, and some people solved some WeDoWind challenges, but some other of us thought about WeDoWind and how to make it long-term sustainable. And yeah, we had this idea of making money through consultancy. So we have a WeDoWind working group, and we have a WeDoWind advisory board, and where we discuss things like that. So the first thing, if you or anyone else is interested in contributing to that, then please join. What actually happened is that I had a very good student who had just finished his bachelor's thesis, who like looked into a load of different options. But I said to him, we're not going to charge membership fees. Like, we don't want to make money by getting people to pay to be on a platform. That was like my baseline decision. And so he came up with a load of ideas, which we're currently trying to translate into English and summarize in some understandable way. But there's quite a lot of ideas related to more small things, like making money for like trending or sponsoring or paying for challenges, or more like microtransactions, or even education, like offering some free courses, but then paying to download certificates. And a load of stuff like that. I think the consulting part is still in there, in this idea of saying we can help you build your own ecosystem, because I think it's would be quite a lot of work for an organization or a community to come and like copy it themselves. And so I think they might be, or indications so far are showing that some organizations are interested in us like building that ourselves for them, and then paying us to do that. So that's kind of still in there in that sense.
Okay, well,
Does that answer your question?
Yeah, no, it does answer the question. I guess you need to point me at which working group I need to be part of to do that, because I've kind of looked at them all and I would go, oh, hang on, this looks like very detailed data analysis, which isn't really what I can add to this, but that other one certainly I probably can in some way.
It would be, I mean, so WeDoWind working group is not part of Task 43, because since we grew WeDoWind into this large ecosystem, like it's not inside Task 43. It's actually the other way around. Like some of the Task 43 groups are part of WeDoWind, but WeDoWind is a bigger thing. So that's probably why it's been difficult to work out. But yeah, I can just if you want to be part of the WeDoWind working group, I can just put you on the list and invite you.
Okay, perfect. Let's do that and we'll see where we get to.
Sounds great. Other questions? Everyone's completely overwhelmed with so much information, huh?
But I just think that for newcomers, it's quite, but it needs some time and effort to really understand what we can do in this system. What I saw while you were talking and I was logging in, I mean, the functionality is quite impressive. You can dial into a Teams call, and so there is really something behind this, I think, but I haven't. Well, it's. I think we need to get used to where we need to click to get what.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure that can also be improved as we learn, right? So, I mean, this got built up on some assumptions about what people would understand and how you like. It's not. We haven't got any marketing experts who have who have like gone through the usability. I mean, as you know yourself, we don't have a lot of funding. We haven't had a lot of funding so far to build it up, and so I mean, we need to gain momentum and get more support and funding so that we can make it more usable. And it's a bit of a chicken and egg problem, I think. Well, let's do the Mentimeter then.
I was going to quickly say, Sarah, if you're going to accept a challenge and then make a response, you have to be a little bit careful, put some legals around it to say, you know, we have no liability to any response we make, and it's 100% your own risk, you know, as if it was a proper contract.
Yeah. In the two challenges which we're running at the moment, the ERWay one and the RTDT one, where we didn't exactly have that, but we had like some in the template. There's basically an agreement to publish. So I agree that when I submit the solution, it's available in the public domain. But yeah, I think more obvious what sort of legal contract am I going into here when I'm submitting something should be in there. I think we need to talk about that. Let's put that on the list of WeDoWind working group topics. Okay, so the survey results. So which wind resource are you most interested in accessing? First position comes the open data portal, then the code, then the schema publishing, the jobs portal, ontology publishing. I'm sure that's because people don't understand yet what the ontology. Oh no, ontology's got higher now. Ontology publishing portal is so amazing, but it's not. Maybe it's not. The community is not quite ready for it. But yeah, okay, that's good to know. And then the next question, I guess I have to move to the next one for you to answer the next one. I think probably. So the next question is, which of the 4 communities are you most interested in getting involved in? We had 7 responses in the first question, and we've got 4 now for the second question. Anyone else want to add a response? No response means you don't know yet, I guess.
There's no mention of the working group here, is there, for me?
What?
Well, the one I'm interested in getting involved in is the working group, but that's not here as one of the options, I think.
Aha, yeah, that's true. Because it's not. So actually, the WeDoWind working group's not in the WeDoWind platform as a thing that you can sign up for. But actually, maybe it should be. I didn't actually think of that before.
That's a good point, actually.
Yeah, I think it is a good point. I think we should, as a working group, we should work on there as well as part of like the general space or something. But yeah, I agree that should have been in there based on that. Okay, so the winner is the information modeling community. Interesting.
Sarah, just while you're on that, you mentioned a bunch of other people interested in doing information modeling. There's somebody at Ørsted who's trying to build a wind turbine information model. I don't know whether you guys have got, whether she's got involved with what you're doing at the moment.
Do you know who that is?
Not off the top of my head, something like Patricia Casados or something, I think. But it's she put it on LinkedIn about 4 or 5 months ago.
Don't remember having seen that.
I could dig it out and send it over.
That would be brilliant, yeah. I mean, some of these companies are doing stuff in a way that they don't really want to interact with anyone. They're just doing it for themselves, and they don't really. And not. I mean, part of the low data maturity of the wind industry is that lots of companies are doing. At least they're doing some stuff like this internally, but they're not yet at the stage where they see the relevance of doing it aligned way or aligning efforts, but they will do eventually, I think. And if she's published it on LinkedIn, it means that she wants people to know about it. So that's a good sign, right? So yeah, it'd be really good to get contact.
I know I've pointed quite a few people in her direction as people wanting to produce the right information model. So I think that would be a good connection.
Yeah.
And as you
By
say,
the way, on that note, if anyone else can think of any other groups that they know about that maybe we don't know about yet or I haven't mentioned who might find a place in any of these communities for wind energy, then please have a think and contact them yourselves or contact me about it.
Yeah. Ronald, is that something Vattenfall have considered before?
Yeah, be sure. And the example of Vattenfall, that these people don't even think to look outside. This is the role I've got now. Sarah knows this, to be this bridge to outside. And I think it's very sad that they reinvent the wheel again and again. And yeah.
And Ron's trying to be the person in Vattenfall who changes that, right, Ron?
Yeah, for sure. We've made the case for this, and we're being listened to. And yeah, an awful lot of money gets wasted by every company doing the same thing. You're in isolation.
So Ron's part of the working group as well, and his inputs have been quite important for this whole. Well, he's been very supportive of the need for this whole ecosystem because of what he sees in Vattenfall. So I guess another thing is just getting more people like Ron, maybe this person from Ørsted that you mentioned, even on board as well, to say, okay, what can we do? What would you need to share these information models more, or why aren't you sharing it already, or what can we do to help? So yeah, the more the merrier, basically.
Yeah, well, I think a lot of them. I mean, it's good to think that actually even thinking about having an information model, because lots of them just buy the relevant applications and use them without even worrying about the information model behind them, and they just stitch it together.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, even inside companies like Vattenfall and Ørsted, there are silos with 3 different groups are doing the same thing at once.
Yeah.
And that's one thing I learned as well. Like there's all these different versions of whatever information model or data model within the same organization, which groups don't even know about or they don't even align on. And even just that is obviously causing massive inefficiencies, right?
Yeah. I mean, it all starts with, have you got a chief data officer, and is the chief data officer actually doing the right job of implementing a proper information and data model across the organization in one place? And until you even start doing that, you're just a bunch of silos doing a bunch of stuff, deploying a bunch of applications and hoping for the best, and saying, oh, why do I have 2 different bits of data in different places that don't agree with each other, even though they're actually the same data? And that's kind of the problems they all deal with. And I think it's all evolved and maturing across lots of industries at the moment that recognise, hang on, we can do this once and repeat it many times. That's a damn sight more efficient for everybody.
Yeah, so true. Yeah.
Chris?
Yeah, I just wanted to say, I think most organizations have those sorts of people, and our challenge is kind of to find them and get them on the platform. But I think some of the initiatives have been like very encouraging, like the amount of people who were keen on this SCADA users group to create semantic artifacts to describe SCADA data sets. And I mean, I also think Charlie's latest challenge, the one run on Kaggle, there was really a huge appetite for people to get involved. So I think this is encouraging, and the new platform looks very good. It's certainly, I struggled to do like anything on the previous one, and I think on the new one it's kind of like it's very easy to use, and I think it's got great potential.
Charlie told me yesterday that somebody submitted a solution to his challenge at, what was it, 8 p.m. on New Year's Eve?
Yeah, that's right. That's how keen us technical people are. But it wasn't me.
It wasn't you. You stopped at 7 p.m. Maybe I can, before I get to the next question, I can just put a different question in, which is not in the Mentimeter. Like, what would you suggest you should do as a next step? So, I mean, we've launched this thing now. We've got things we want to do to enhance it and make it better and get more communities involved. And like, do you have any spontaneous thoughts about like what would the number one thing be that you would suggest we definitely need to do as a next step? Anyone?
Basically more people involved, isn't it? And doing as you described a little while ago, getting the right marketing and so on, so you do become that sort of core across the industry to get everybody in the right place using this, and you get it used once and repeated many times. But it's easy to say, hard to do with the funding and the situations. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there's a few funding opportunities coming up. I've got written down for this year that look promising, but obviously you have to get that funding as well. But yeah, the more that you can demonstrate and the more that you have, then the easier it is to get funding, because then people understand what you're talking about. So, Chris, you wanted to?
Yeah, I think it's important to, like, a community like this relies on having lots of people there, and I think the bigger it gets, the more it's gonna kind of grow on its own. So I suppose, like, kind of trying to reach out, get people there, get interesting content there, maybe find other groups that could make use of the platform. But I guess the more traffic and content and members it generates, then it's going to be, because I guess as people kind of like to have one platform with a thing like, I don't know, there's LinkedIn for jobs related things, and there's Facebook for friends and stuff. And I guess like if this becomes the go-to platform for the wind energy industry.
Yeah, okay. Tim?
Yeah, just on, I think on the same theme really, which is sort of how to get momentum from more users. And I guess this is probably in your thought process anyway, but and it is 5 months away, but the Wind Energy Science Conference in June would be a great sort of place to publicize it, because of the, I think the target audience must be there.
Yeah, we have a mini symposium called "Exploiting the Full Value of Data," digital. I can't remember what it's called. It's from the Task 43. so we have a mini symposium and we're inviting people to submit abstracts, and there is going to be one on WeDoWind, but there's going to be a load of other ones as well. So just as an aside, if anyone is coming to WESC or wants to, think about submitting your own abstract to this mini symposium. There's actually on the platform somewhere, I did actually make a comment, how did I do that? I think I did that in general discussion in the feed here. Oh yeah, look. If you're interested in submitting an abstract to WESC, there's a link there to our abstract. But yeah, it's a bit, I was thinking about this the other day, and it's actually, we should submit it to a different mini symposium because the people who come are probably going to be all the people who know about it already. But I'm actually submitting an abstract to a different mini symposium about some data, because there's another one about open data sets for wind turbine loads and aerodynamics or something, where they want to discuss existing data sets. So I was going to submit one for the ER waste test turbines committee space we have. We've got a load of data sets that we prepared, and challenges. So I was going to put one in there as well, and maybe we can get a bit more cross. But yeah, we want people to submit abstracts to our mini symposium so that our mini symposium is big and exciting and it's got lots of good papers in. So, all right, Charlie.
Yeah, I was just going to say, now that we've got a nice new platform, I think it's important that we keep up engagement on that platform. So we've obviously got a lot of people that have recently joined it, and then I expect they'll want to see that there's activity on that site as opposed to it just being a repository. So I know I've got a task to post up some things and share some information, but I expect it will also be on you to chase organizers of the different spaces to be like, please can you post something this week because you've not done anything, and we've got a new audience and we want to keep them engaged.
Yeah, I mean, it's still, whatever I have to do, it's going to be so much less work than on the previous platform. You don't even want to know how much I spent sorting all the people. It was crazy. So yeah. It's going to be less than that. So yeah, I agree with that. John?
Yeah, well, just building on the theme of getting more people involved. I mean, I discovered another 4 EU-funded schemes all playing in the data and digitalization wind space this week. So I don't know whether people are aware of those or where they are, but they're called Twain, Iconic, Willow, Sudoku, all would benefit from having a platform. Yeah, it is a pun on the game, but they're all doing things that are going to involve and needing a platform just like this. So getting I think they only start in September. So getting your sort of platform in there now as here's a great place to put all this stuff on. You involve your people, will solve them having to create it all themselves, assuming that's what they're going to need to do.
So this EU project thing is quite interesting because Switzerland became an associated country with Horizon Europe since January. Previously, we were non-associated, which meant that we weren't eligible for lots of things, and the things that we were eligible for, we couldn't lead. So I was struggling to find something that I could actually start or initiate, which also means that my knowledge is a bit low on that area. So if you want to, okay, I'm gonna make a group on the platform next week called the working group, and then. But you can also just share them in here, but you could then share them on the platform. But yeah, so however you want to do it, if you want to share those links, I'm very interested in doing something together on that.
Yeah, well, let me just let me grab it and post it in the chat now, so you've got it because I've got it here.
I just found out recently about this Oscars. This is actually Marcus told me about this. I was looking at it today. They're supposed to have had the call on the 15th of January, but it doesn't seem to have come out yet. Look, the open call will be launched on the 15th of January, but it doesn't seem to have been. And it's called Oscars, and it's about making data more like open science and open data. And it's like something like that might be possible as well. Yeah, okay. I don't want to miss the very last question because it's an important question. Could you imagine helping us to cover our costs? So the point, this project is not directly paid for at all, and we've got a donation page which nobody's contributed to yet, unfortunately. And so I'm just interested in gauging if any of you could help imagine helping cover running costs. So it means license costs, but it also means just like basically my time or time of a colleague. So we were thinking crowdfunding or donations. I didn't mean to do that. Paying for extra features. Still clicked on the wrong button. Sponsoring or supporting WeDoWind as an organization, or no?
Comes back to that commercial model question, doesn't it? How are you going to monetize it just to pay for what it is at the moment? Ooh.
Yeah.
Sorry, I didn't realise there's a whole question about it.
It's all right. Doesn't matter. I didn't tell you. It's a surprise. But you know,
Should
if you
also
click on
be multiple choice.
What?
Should be multiple choice as well.
Oh, you can't choose multiple ones.
You can only choose one.
That was my mistake. Otherwise, you'd have selected all of them, including no.
No, including no.
Yeah, sorry. All right, well, I mean, despite that, it's interesting to gauge that the most popular one seems to be sponsoring or supporting the organization. So that's a good indicator. So everyone who clicked on yes, I can't find out who it was actually. If you are interested in sponsoring or supporting WeDoWind as an organization, it would be very nice to have a conversation about that. And so if you want to contact me separately, we should do that, even if it's just a small amount. Yeah. All right. Any other? It's now exactly 5 o'clock. Somebody was saying something?
No, I think just leaving.
Just leaving. All right. Well,
Okay.
Thanks for listening,
Thanks,
everyone, and stay in touch, and see you all soon, and have a nice weekend.
Okay.
Thank you for the great
Thank you very much. You too.
Bye,
Thank you, Sarah.
everyone.
Thank you.
Thank
Bye.
you. Bye.
Goodbye.
Thank you.